a silent fear the galaxy was burning. Worlds that once shined with light now floated in silence. Covered in smoke and fire, the alien fleets moved like storms, cold and merciless, leaving no mercy behind. To them, humans were only another weak species, small and fragile, unfit to stand against the great powers of the stars. Yet deep inside every alien commander, there was something they could not explain, a shadow of unease, a whisper of fear. Humanity had lost many colonies, their fleets broken, their soldiers scattered. Every broadcast from alien empires declared the same words: humanity will fall. The war is already decided, but in the back alleys of ruined cities, in the refugee camps orbiting broken moons, rumors spread like fire. They spoke of a ship that no one had seen, a weapon hidden from the eyes of the galaxy. The story said it was built in secret, forged in silence and waiting for the right moment. Most people dismissed it as hope born from despair. They said no such ship could exist. No human could build something to stand against the vast alien armadas. But still the whispers grew, carried by frightened voices, repeated by soldiers who refused to give up. Even the alien spies reported strange things. They heard of human engineers disappearing, of resources vanishing into the void. Something was being built. Somewhere in the dark, Admiral Korvac, the alien commander of the Eastern Arm, laughed when his officers mentioned these rumors. He sat on his command throne, surrounded by screens showing burning human colonies. Humans are desperate insects, he said, his voice sharp and cruel. They invent stories to hide their weakness. There is no hidden ship. There is no secret weapon. Only fear. His officers nodded, though some of their eyes showed doubt. Even they had heard the strange reports. Fleets destroyed without explanation. Scouts vanishing without trace across the stars, in the shadow of a broken asteroid field. A small group of human survivors gathered. They spoke in low voices, afraid the enemy might hear them even across the void. One old soldier, his face marked with scars, leaned closer to the others. "I saw it," he whispered, his voice trembling. "The ship is real, I swear by the lives of my family. I saw its shadow move past the stars." The others stared, their hearts racing, half in hope, half in fear. The soldier continued. "It moved without sound, no signal, no light, only the darkness bending around it, and when it passed, an alien cruiser disappeared in flames. No weapon fire, no warning. Just silence and then fire." The group sat in silence, each of them caught between disbelief and wonder. If the story was true, then maybe humanity was not yet broken. Maybe the war was not yet lost. Back in the alien command center, Admiral Korvac prepared his final assault. His fleets were vast, stretching from one side of the system to the other. No human defense could stand in their way, or so he believed. But when his scanners swept the empty space, there were strange gaps, moments where signals flickered. Like shadows in the data, he dismissed them as errors, but his junior officers felt the cold weight of fear. On Earth, the leaders of humanity met in secret. Their faces pale with exhaustion, they argued over the last defenses, over whether to surrender or to fight until the end. Some of them looked at the stars beyond the glass windows, their eyes searching for something, anything that could save them. And in that silence, the thought of the hidden ship returned again. No one spoke it loudly, but it was in their hearts. The idea that somewhere out there, beyond sight, beyond hope, humanity's true weapon waited. The night sky above Earth looked peaceful. Billions of stars shined without knowing the fear that gripped every heart below. Children asked their parents if they were safe. Parents gave soft lies, holding their children tight. But in their own eyes, fear burned like fire, because they all knew the alien fleets were coming closer and closer, and they all wondered the same question. If the hidden ship was real, when would it appear? The aliens believed humanity was broken. The humans believed they had nothing left, but the galaxy itself held its breath, because something was stirring in the dark, unseen, waiting. And when it came, nothing would ever be the same again. Whispers in the void of space was never silent. Even when stars burned steady and planets circled in peace, there were always signals, voices, echoes of civilizations. But now those echoes carried fear. Across the channels of trade and war, whispers grew louder. Whispers of something hidden, something human. In the dark corners of the galaxy, alien merchants spoke in hushed tones. They told each other of fleets vanishing, of ships destroyed with no trace of weapons. Some said pirates were responsible, others said black holes. But deep inside their eyes was the same truth. They feared the unknown, and all their stories pointed back to one name: humanity. Among the survivors of broken colonies, the stories became almost sacred. Children huddled around old soldiers, listening to the tale of the ship no one could see. The soldiers described it like a shadow made of iron, silent but deadly. One moment space was empty. The next moment alien ships were gone, swallowed by fire and silence. To the weak and the broken, the story gave strength. It was hope, thin but powerful, keeping them alive in the cold night. In the Alien War Council, the leaders argued. Some dismissed the whispers, calling them foolish human lies. Others demanded stronger patrols, more scouts, more scans. But every new report brought the same pattern: ships missing, fleets shaken, and in the middle of their arguments, silence often filled the chamber. Because no one could explain what was happening, Admiral Korvac laughed still. He declared that humans were like children telling ghost stories. Yet even he could not ignore the growing fear in his officers. Every night the reports piled higher. Every morning he felt the unease grow heavier. It was not weakness he feared, it was uncertainty. And uncertainty was poison in war, far from the alien fleets. Hidden in a place where no scanner reached, the human ship waited. It was not like any other vessel built by human hands. Its armor was black, swallowing the light of distant suns. Its engines were quiet, bending the void itself around its frame. To the galaxy it was invisible, but to the humans who built it, it was the last heartbeat of survival. Inside the ship, the crew moved with silent discipline. They were soldiers, engineers, scientists, men and women chosen from every corner of Earth. Each of them carried the weight of a dying civilization. Each of them knew they were the blade hidden in the shadows. They trained without pause, speaking little, trusting the silence more than words. Commander Reyes stood at the bridge, his eyes fixed on the stars. He had seen too much death, too many worlds lost. But here on this hidden ship he felt something different. Not hope, not yet, but the beginning of it. He turned to his officers, speaking in a voice low and steady. "The galaxy does not see us, but they will," he said. "When the moment comes, they will learn what it means to fear humanity." Meanwhile, back among the aliens, strange patterns began to frighten even the bravest. Scouts reported shadows where no ships should be. Signals vanished mid-transmission, and always at the edge of battle, something stirred. The aliens called it a phantom, a ghost, a curse, but deep inside, they knew what it was: the hidden ship on one distant moon. A group of alien soldiers gathered in a tavern. They spoke over drinks, their voices shaky despite their armor. One leaned closer, his words trembling. "My brother's fleet was destroyed. No enemy in sight, no warning," he said. He swore before the end he saw a shape in the stars, a shadow moving like a predator. The others fell silent, their alien eyes dark with fear. If even the strongest fleets could fall to the phantom, what chance did any of them have? But the whispers did not stay whispers. They traveled like wind through fire, from alien captains to alien kings, from refugees to smugglers everywhere across the galaxy. One story spread: the humans were not broken. The humans had a weapon no one could see, and soon everyone would face it. In the quiet of the void, the ship remained hidden. Waiting, it did not rush. It did not reveal itself like a hunter in the dark. It studied, it learned, it chose the right moment. And in that patience was its greatest strength. Because every day it stayed unseen, the fear grew larger. And fear itself became a weapon sharper than any blade. The galaxy believed humanity weak. The aliens believed victory certain. But in the whispers of the void, a new truth was born. A truth that would soon shake the stars. Because the hidden ship was real and its time was coming. The gathering storm, the galaxy was restless. Signals of war filled every channel. Fleets moved like waves across the stars. The alien empires gathered their strength, summoning ships from every system. It was not just a war now. It was an attempt to erase humanity forever. On the border of human space, alien armadas stretched from horizon to horizon. Thousands of ships burned their engines, casting light across the void. Their commanders spoke with arrogance. "This will be the final blow," they declared. "No more whispers, no more resistance. Humanity will be dust." But inside the hearts of their soldiers, fear lingered. They remembered the fleets that had vanished without a trace. They remembered the shadows that stalked their scanners. And though their leaders mocked the rumors, the soldiers prayed silently. prayed they would never meet the phantom ship. On Earth, the skies were filled with fear. Every citizen knew the alien fleets were coming. Some prepared bunkers, others prepared to flee, but many simply stood in silence waiting for the inevitable. The leaders of humanity argued behind closed doors. Should they surrender and save what little remained, or should they fight until the last breath? In the silence of those meetings, one name always returned. The hidden ship. No one spoke it openly, but every glance, every pause carried the same thought. If the ship was real, if it truly existed, this was the time it had to appear, far from Earth. In the dark cradle of an asteroid belt, the hidden ship awakened. Engines hummed low, cloaked in silence. The crew stood ready, each of them carrying the weight of millions. Their training had sharpened them into shadows. Unseen but unstoppable, they moved like one mind, one will. Every order carried with steady discipline. Commander Reyes walked the bridge, his boots echoing softly against the steel floor. He looked at his crew, men and women who had left their homes, their families, their entire lives. They had become something more than soldiers. They had become ghosts. He spoke in a voice steady and cold. "The storm is coming," he said, "and we are the lightning hidden inside it." Beside him, the ship's chief engineer adjusted the cloaking systems. Panels glowed faintly, showing ripples of distorted light around the ship. "No one will see us until we want them to," she whispered. The crew nodded, their hearts steady, because they all knew the survival of humanity rested on their silence. Meanwhile, Admiral Korvac prepared his strike. His alien fleet spread across the edge of human territory. He demanded every ship push forward. Crush their defenses, burn their worlds. "Leave nothing," he ordered. His voice was filled with arrogance, but his eyes betrayed unease. He had dismissed the rumors for too long, but even in his pride he wondered, what if the hidden ship was real? The first wave of alien ships moved into position. Scouts spread out, searching for resistance. Their sensors reached into every corner of space, but they found nothing, only silence, and yet, in that silence, shadows moved. Unseen eyes watched them, calculating, waiting. In the void between stars, the human ship drifted like a shadow. Every system alive, every weapon armed. It watched the alien armada with patience. The crew's hands hovered over controls, but they did not fire. Not yet. They knew this was not the moment. The storm had not yet reached its peak. Inside the alien fleet, soldiers whispered to each other. Some claimed they saw movement at the edge of their vision. Others swore they heard strange echoes in their comms. Every unexplained flicker, every static crackle filled them with dread. They marched under orders, but fear clung to them like chains. On Earth, humanity braced itself. Families gathered, soldiers stood ready, leaders whispered prayers. The sky looked calm, the stars unchanged. But everyone knew beyond that calm sky the greatest battle was about to begin. And in the silence before the storm, they all hoped for one thing, that the whispers of the hidden ship were more than stories. The storm was gathering, the fleets of the galaxy prepared to erase humanity. The defenders of Earth prepared to make their last stand. And in the shadows, unseen and silent, the hidden ship prepared to strike. When it moved, the galaxy itself would tremble, and nothing would ever be the same. First strike, the alien armada spread across the stars like an endless sea. Their ships burned with power, engines glowing bright. Admiral Korvac stood proud on his flagship, convinced this day would end humanity forever. He believed nothing could stand in his way. But the void around him whispered a different truth. At first it began with silence, a quiet ripple in the fabric of space, so faint most scanners ignored it. Then a sudden flash, a scream of energy too fast to track. An alien battleship at the far edge of the formation exploded into fire. One instant it was there, the next it was gone. Swallowed by a storm of flames, Korvac's officers leapt from their stations. "Enemy contact, unknown weapon." "No ship detected," they shouted, but the scanners showed nothing. The void remained empty, silent as if nothing had happened, and then, before the admiral could respond, another ship vanished, this time a cruiser, torn apart in a single burst of light. Panic spread through the alien fleet. Voices filled the comms. Soldiers screamed reports of invisible attackers. Every captain shouted orders, demanding answers, but no answers came. Only more destruction, one by one. Ships burst into fire, vanishing without warning. The hidden ship moved like a predator in the dark. Its weapons fired with perfect precision. Beams of energy cut through armor. Missiles struck from shadows. No alien eye could see it. No scanner could track it to the crew inside. It felt like striking from another world. They were ghosts, unseen but unstoppable. Commander Reyes stood at the center of the bridge, his voice calm. "Target the heavy cruisers first," he ordered. His crew obeyed without hesitation. The ship's cannons roared. Though no sound carried in the void, another alien cruiser shattered in a wave of fire. The battlefield became chaos. Alien soldiers begged for reinforcements. Some fired blindly into empty space, hoping to strike the unseen hunter. Others turned their ships in retreat, their courage broken. But the admiral shouted furiously, "Hold the line, there is no phantom. Find the enemy and destroy it." Yet even as he spoke, fear coiled inside him. He had mocked the whispers, but now he faced them with his own eyes. On Earth, the battle was broadcast in fragments. Human eyes watched as alien fleets burned. Every explosion was met with cheers. Tears, prayers, for the first time in years. Hope returned to humanity. The hidden ship was real, it was not a myth. It was salvation back in the void. The first wave of destruction continued. Entire squadrons disappeared, their wreckage floating among the stars. Still no one saw the ship itself. It struck, vanished, struck again, moving like a shadow through the flames. Alien captains screamed of ghosts, of demons, but the truth was worse. It was humanity. The very species they had called weak, now wielding a weapon beyond imagination. Korvac clenched his fists. His pride crumbling, he had promised victory. He had promised the humans would be erased, but his armada was bleeding, his ships vanishing into fire, and deep inside him, he finally understood the whispers were true. The hidden ship existed, and it had chosen this moment to reveal its wrath. The crew of the hidden ship moved with cold precision, their eyes steady, their hands flawless. Every target they struck brought humanity closer to survival. Yet none of them celebrated. They knew this was only the beginning. The storm had broken, but the war was far from over. As the alien fleets reeled in terror, Commander Reyes spoke again. "Not yet," he said. "Do not reveal the ship, keep the cloak active. Let the fear grow." His crew nodded, understanding the power of silence. Every unseen strike was not only a weapon of destruction, it was a weapon of fear. And fear itself was breaking the enemy faster than fire. The first strike had begun. The galaxy watched in shock. The aliens had believed humanity broken, weak, defeated, but now, with every explosion, that belief turned to ashes, and in the darkness of the void, a new legend was born. The hidden ship had shown its hand, and the galaxy would never forget it. The reveal, the battlefield burned with chaos. Alien ships drifted in flames, broken into pieces. Thousands of voices screamed across comms, begging for orders, begging for salvation. But there was no salvation, only fear. For every time silence touched the void, another alien ship vanished. Admiral Korvac slammed his fists against his command chair. His pride shattered with every explosion. "Find it," he roared, his voice cracking with desperation. "Find the phantom, destroy it. I will not be mocked by ghosts." Yet even his own crew hesitated. Their scanners showed nothing. Their eyes saw nothing, and in the silence, dread became their only companion. On the hidden ship's bridge, Commander Reyes stood tall, his face calm. Though his heart thundered inside his chest, his crew waited for his order. Hands ready at the controls, the cloak still held, hiding them in perfect shadow. But he knew the moment was near. The galaxy had to see what humanity had forged. "Prepare for decloak," Reyes said, his voice low but steady. The crew froze, their eyes widening. For years, they had trained to remain unseen, to fight as shadows. Now the time had come to reveal themselves. One by one, systems lit up across the ship. Engines roared, armor gleamed, weapons charged. The ship itself seemed to awaken fully, as if eager to show its true face. The alien fleets watched the void with terror. Some fired blindly, others turned to flee, and then, for the first time, they saw it. The stars themselves seemed to bend. A ripple in the darkness spread wide, and from the shadows the ship appeared. Gasps filled every alien channel. It was massive, larger than their greatest battleships. Its armor was black as night, absorbing the light of stars. Glowing lines of blue and silver traced across its frame. Alive with power, every cannon, every missile bay, every weapon gleamed with deadly promise. The galaxy had seen warships before, but nothing like this. This was not only a ship, it was a message. Admiral Korvac stared in frozen silence, his eyes wide, his hands trembling. "This "This cannot be," he whispered. For the first time in his long career, he felt true fear. The rumors he had mocked had become real, and the reality was far worse than the whispers on Earth. Billions watched the reveal. Screens across cities and shelters showed the ship rising from the void. Cheers erupted, tears fell. Parents held their children close, pointing at the screen, whispering, "Look, it's real, we are not finished. We are not defeated." The legend had become truth. Hope once lost now roared like fire in every human heart. Back on the hidden ship now revealed, Commander Reyes gave his next order. "Target their flagship," he said. The ship's weapons locked on Admiral Korvac's vessel. The Admiral's crew screamed, rushing to activate defenses, but they were too slow. A single shot from the human warship tore through shields and armor. Korvac's flagship shuddered, fire spilling from its hull. The Admiral gripped his chair, coughing as smoke filled the bridge. He had wanted proof of the Phantom. Now he had it, burning him alive. The alien fleets broke, some tried to stand, but their courage was gone. Others turned in full retreat, engines burning in panic. The galaxy that once mocked humanity now trembled before them, and the sight of the human ship, black and gleaming with fire, carved itself into their memory forever. Commander Reyes watched the enemy scatter, but he did not smile. He knew this was not the end. It was only the beginning. The ship's reveal was more than a weapon. It was a declaration. Humanity would never kneel, not to empires, not to tyrants, not to anyone across the galaxy. News spread faster than light, every empire. Every species heard the same words. The hidden human ship has appeared. And with those words, the balance of power shifted. The galaxy was no longer the same. For the first time in history, humanity stood as something more than prey. They had become the storm, and the storm had finally shown its face, turning the tide. The galaxy had witnessed the impossible. A single human ship had decloaked, and the stars themselves seemed to tremble. Every alien commander who once laughed at humanity now watched in horror. The Phantom was no longer a rumor, it was real, it was unstoppable. Admiral Korvac's fleet was broken. His flagship burned. His voice cracked as he gave orders that no one followed. Ships that once obeyed him scattered like frightened birds. No captain wanted to face the black giant that had risen from the void. The battle was lost before it even began on Earth. The sight of the hidden ship lit fires of courage across every heart. Soldiers who had once prepared for a hopeless defense now stood taller. Citizens who had been ready to surrender now raised banners of defiance everywhere. The name of the ship spread. It was no longer the Phantom or the Ghost. It was now called Humanity's Wrath. Inside the great warship, Commander Reyes remained steady. He looked at his officers, their eyes shining with determination. "The galaxy will learn today," he said, his voice low and powerful. "They thought us broken, but now they will see we were only waiting." His words flowed through the crew like lightning. Every hand, every mind moved as one. The warship advanced into the fleeing alien fleet. Its cannons thundered, its missiles roared. One by one, alien ships fell, their wreckage scattering across the stars. Every shot carried not only destruction, but a message: humanity was no longer prey. They were hunters. Alien fleets from nearby systems received the desperate calls of Admiral Korvac. But when they arrived, all they saw was fire. Korvac's ships lay in ruins, his command shattered, and in the center of it all, the human warship floated like a god of vengeance. Its black armor gleaming against the light of dying stars, the retreat became a stampede. Aliens who had once sworn to erase humanity now begged for escape. Entire squadrons abandoned their posts. Some even fired on their own allies in panic. Discipline crumbled, fear devoured them. The tide had turned, and it was unstoppable. Across human colonies, the news spread like wildfire. Refugees on broken moons shouted with joy. Children pointed at the skies, whispering that the ship would protect them. For the first time in generations, humanity no longer whispered in fear. They roared with pride. Their hidden weapon had arrived. Their time had come in alien capitals. Fear spread just as quickly. Rulers demanded answers, but their generals brought only silence and failure. No strategy could stop the Phantom ship. No weapon could pierce its cloak. Every empire that had mocked humanity now faced a choice: stand against the humans and risk annihilation, or kneel and survive. Inside the war council of the largest alien empire, silence filled the chamber. An elder commander spoke in a trembling voice. We thought them weak, we thought them broken. But they hid their strength. They hid their blade. Now it cuts through us like fire through dry grass. None could deny his words. The galaxy was shifting. The balance of power was gone. Commander Reyes knew the battle was won. But his face remained calm, his mind sharp. This is only the beginning, he told his crew. They will gather again, they will come stronger, but now, we have shown them who we are. The crew nodded, their hearts unshaken, because they knew one truth. The galaxy could no longer ignore humanity. As the human warship moved back toward Earth, cheers erupted across the planet. Its shadow stretched across the skies, a symbol of survival. The people looked up and no longer saw despair. They saw hope, they saw vengeance, they saw destiny. The tide of war had turned, and now, humanity was no longer fighting to survive. They were fighting to rule. The galaxy trembled at the thought, because if one hidden ship could shatter an armada, what else had humanity hidden in the dark, and what storms would they unleash next? A galaxy changed forever. The fires of battle still burned in the void. Wreckage of alien ships drifted across the stars. Silent tombs of arrogance and fear. But the war had already ended. Not by numbers, not by strength of empires. It ended with the appearance of one hidden ship. Across the galaxy, the story spread faster than light. In markets and war councils. In refugee camps, the same words were spoken. The humans did it. The phantom is real. The galaxy trembles before them. Those who once mocked humanity now spoke their name with caution. Those who once hunted them now whispered of surrender. Admiral Korvac's defeat became a warning carved into history. His fleet shattered, his command broken, his pride crushed. The image of his burning flagship haunted alien screens. And beside it floated the human warship, black and silent yet more terrifying than fire itself. Generals who once dreamed of conquest now looked at their maps with fear. Because every border near human space now felt fragile. On Earth, the air was filled with celebration. For the first time in generations, humanity did not bow its head. Cities that had prepared for destruction lit up in light. Children waved flags, soldiers marched with pride. The hidden ship was not just a weapon, it was a symbol. It was proof that humanity had never been weak. They had only been waiting for the right moment to rise in the halls of the United Human Command. Leaders stood together. They looked at the footage of the ship. Some whispered in awe, some wept with relief. One elder statesman spoke the truth that burned in every heart. We are no longer prey, we are no longer survivors. We are the storm that the galaxy must now face. Inside the ship itself, Commander Reyes walked the silent bridge. His crew watched him with eyes that carried both exhaustion and pride. They had fought like ghosts. They had revealed themselves like gods. Now the weight of a new destiny rested on their shoulders. He spoke softly, but his words carried across the entire vessel. Today we have shown them. Today we have reminded the stars who we are. But tomorrow they will test us again, and when they do, we will be ready. In alien capitals, fear became law. Rulers debated not whether to attack humanity, but whether they could survive their wrath. Some demanded peace. Others demanded surrender before it was too late, and a few, the proudest of them all, promised revenge, but their voices shook. Their courage faltered, because they had seen what one human ship could do, and none of them knew if humanity had built only one, or many more. The galaxy was never the same after that day. Alliances shifted, empires trembled, borders redrawn by fear. The humans had taken their place among the powers, not as victims but as rulers. Not because they asked for respect, but because they forced it. No one could deny them again. No one could erase them. On Earth, mothers told their children the story of the phantom ship, not as a myth, not as a rumor, but as truth. The story of the day humanity revealed its hidden blade and made the galaxy kneel. Children grew with fire in their hearts, knowing they belonged to a species that had shaken the stars. The hidden ship continued to patrol the void, its black armor gleaming against the light of distant suns. It carried the weight of every life on Earth. It carried the future of an entire species, and wherever it moved, silence followed. Silence filled with fear. Silence filled with respect. The war had begun as an attempt to erase humanity, but it ended with humanity reborn. From the ashes of broken colonies rose a people unbroken. From the shadows of despair rose a ship that changed everything. And from that day forward, the galaxy lived with one truth carved into its soul. They never saw it coming, and they would never forget it.